Good morning. My name is Mark Staples, and I am the host of a continuing series of legislative candidate interviews brought to you by Bresnan Communications and the Montana Cable Television Association. Our first interview is with House candidate Tom Opre, candidate for, I'll let you tell about the House district, Tom, and describe the district. Describe yourself. Tom's opponent is Kevin Fury from Missoula, and Kevin could not be with us this morning. So Tom will have an open field. Tom, I'd like to start out with you introduce yourself, tell us your background, why you're running, sort of a general philosophy of government, and then we'll go from there.
Well, first, Mark, I want to thank you and the association and MCAT and Bresnan Communications for putting together this informative event. I'm sorry my opponent's not here to talk about the issues because we have very, very different opinions on where we stand here in Montana today. House District 91 is where I'm running, and that is everything south of Highway 200 in Missoula County, basically from Greeno down to East Missoula, south down to Rock Creek, Clinton, Tura. And then there's a little section that goes over the Sapphire Mountains, includes just an area between Lolo Creek, south of Lolo Creek to the Valley County line, kind of between Lolo and Florence. I ran in 2004 for the Senate seat against Carol Williams in this district, and got a lot of really good support from the people there. There was only 48 votes that separated us, and I really enjoyed the experience in 2004. A lot of great people in House District 91. And that's why I threw my hat in the ring to run. There's two big main reasons why I decided to run this year for House District 91's House seat. And those are, the two biggest reasons are two little girls named Kate and Taylor Rose. My wife and I have two wonderful children, and we're raising a family right here in Missoula County. And I want to make sure that my children can get not only a world-class education here in Montana, but they can have a great opportunity to not only have a good paying job once they get that education, but they can also have a career that will allow, hopefully, Lord willing, our children will have our grandchildren, and my wife and I can enjoy them right here in Montana.
Tom, what's your background?
Mark, for 16 years I've been self-employed. I work in the film and video production industry, specialize in producing and directing national television commercials and extreme sports films, mostly.
Have we seen some of your work?
Have I seen some of your work?
Have we seen some?
Oh, have you seen it? Well, you probably have. I've done commercials for Chevrolet, Ford. We've done a lot of work over the years for hunting and fishing manufacturers. If anybody watches the outdoor channels, a lot of stuff for Federal Cartridge, Abu Garcia, Berkeley, that kind of stuff. So my dad was an outdoor writer for 30 years for Outdoor Life and Field Stream, a monthly columnist, and I just the outdoors are my world. That's where I grew up, hunting and fishing, and that's a major reason why we've stayed here in Montana.
And you live in the Swan Valley.
Yeah, live in the Swan Valley.
The district encompasses.
Yeah. Actually, the district, I do not live in the district. The district starts, like I said, south of Highway 200, but I live up in the Sealy area. And because of the laws we have here in Montana, as long as that district is totally encompassed within the county you live in, you can run in that district. So. But it is part of the House district is part of the Senate district I ran in 2004.
Well, if someone was to ask the question of themselves or you, is that a bit of a carpetbagging thing, or do you? Well, I mean, somebody will, or somebody will attack you with that kind of question. So I'd like to afford you the opportunity to say why. Apparently, you don't think that matters.
Well, I think here in Montana, when you're a part of a community, Montana, we only have 900,000 plus people here. And I've had the pleasure of meeting people from one side of the state to the other, and I call and have some great friends there. And I run a weed spraying business in the summertime, trying to deal with Montana's catastrophic noxious weed problem. And we do a lot of weed spraying in the Potomac Valley. We do a lot of weed spraying in Ovando. We do a lot of weed spraying down in Clinton, Rock Creek area, also down in Lolo. So I have a lot of good customers in the district. I do a lot of business throughout the summer in the district. And I have some very good friends. My campaign treasurer is Dan Ekstrom, the outfitter in Rock Creek. And because of my background in the outdoors and hunting and fishing industry, Dan was a real natural to work with me to push us forward in this campaign.
So just because you don't live where you actually put your boots down in the district doesn't mean that you're not enmeshed and working at it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, spent a lot of time down in the district besides campaigning.
Let's turn to the legislature itself and issues that you'll deal with. First and foremost will be, I guess this is either a welcome turn of events or something that's cataclysmic, depending on how you look at it. Believe it or not, we have a surplus, and for the first time in a long time. And as you know, there are competing plans already. Both parties have plans, and then the individuals have plans. The surplus until yesterday was estimated to be $550 million. Now the latest projections are that it's going to be in the biennium, which would go all the way to '09, to be $900 million, although they would take the reserves out of that of $150 million, and we'd be somewhere at $750 million. The Democrats have a plan called the Square Deal, which is also the governor's plan, which has various components, and the Republicans call theirs a handshake with Montana. Mm-hmm. And first of all, and not just general question, are you familiar with both those plans?
Absolutely.
What are your ideas for that significant amount of money that the state now has? What would your ideas? Or do you endorse any one of those plans outright, or do you have your own ideas about the surplus?
Well, Mark, it's a great question because I don't think very many, like you said, legislators come into a session with such a huge amount of money sitting in the bank. It'd almost be like having a $30,000 job, and then when you go to work the first day, they say, "Well, we're going to pay you $130,000." Like, whoopee! Wow, that's exciting. As far as the plans from each respective party goes, I kind of look at myself as a pretty independent guy, and I've looked to see done the research to see where this money's coming from, and the vast majority of our surplus is coming from the proceeds from income tax returns for personal tax returns and corporate tax returns. Mm-hmm. And then the next big chunk of it's come from our oil and gas and coal revenue taxes that have come, excise taxes. And we know here in Montana that we want to keep generating growth here, and the best way to generate growth and build our economy is to keep our taxes low. Our economy has been growing very well over the last 3 or 4 years specifically, but more importantly over the last 10 or 12 years, Montana's economy has been growing at a nice steady pace. I think in regards to the two plans, the Republican plan and the Democrat plan, I think there's parts of both that are important, and I think there's some commingling there. I know both the governor and the Republicans have talked about trying to return some tax dollars back to taxpayers, whether it be property tax returns or an income tax, a check back to each person that's paying an income tax. I think those are things that we need to seriously take a look at. But more importantly, we have some issues on the table that we need to deal with. We have the education issue still looming over our heads. We did not fix the problem of education funding in the last legislative session. The Supreme Court has said that our funding formula is unconstitutional. It did not get fixed. We had a good committee, a bipartisan committee that worked on some great ideas, but we weren't able to implement those ideas, and we threw a lot of money at the problem, hoping that would kind of be a Band-Aid. Well, as a father raising a family, we'll have children in the system here pretty soon, I want to make sure we're spending our money smart. I want to make sure that those dollars are being used wisely. And I'm all for making sure that our teachers are well paid, that our students have the necessary materials in order to get the best education they can get. But I think we need to do a good job of figuring out what that is and trying to work on that avenue. The other big issue is our state pension funds.
You're not leaving me much room for questions.
Yeah, Mark,
you're going right through my list.
We'll
be finished 10 minutes early.
Well, Mark, I've done a lot of time researching the issues, and I want to make sure I fully understand what's going on. And it brings me to a point. I had a fundraiser that some lobbyists put together for me in Helena this summer, and they wanted to know where I stood on issues and how I would work with them. And I said, well, first of all, I'll let you know, when I talk to the people of House District 91, and when I have to make a decision on a piece of legislation, whether I'm going to vote up or down on it, I'm going to do all the research I can on that. I'm going to try to learn it inside and out as best I can, just like I do in everything in my life. And I'm going to talk to the experts. They're in the field and find out what they have to say. But ultimately, what I'm going to do is sit down with the people in House District 91 from the days all summer long and this fall and going into the session, knocking on doors, talking to people, and ask them what they feel about the issues and try to,
Tom?
Yes.
What have you found by asking and knocking on doors?
Well,
What's the number one concern that...
I tell you, actually, the biggest concern I hear is in House District 91, we have a lot of people on fixed incomes. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of people that are retired from the wood products industry. Stimson Mill there, it was a very successful and prosperous mill for a long time. It's seen some hard times lately. But there's a lot of people in the Milltown, Bonner area that are retired on fixed incomes. And the biggest thing I hear is property tax. They want to know what we can do.
Instinctively, what are your thoughts about, besides just studying the issue, having studied the issue, what are your thoughts about fixing what some people consider to be a broken property tax system we have?
Well, first of all, our property tax system is not fair. And I mean, it's not fair in so much as that any time you work on an assessed value system, it's always open to speculation and interpretation. I had a fellow in 2004 when I was knocking on doors that told me his property taxes had gone from $1,500 a year to $3,000 in 1 year.
What would the cure for that be?
Well, let me finish what I'm saying here. The reason why he said it went up is he went down and talked to the tax assessor and he said, "Sir, he has a log home," and he said, "Sir, you notch those logs really well." That's the kind of system that doesn't work, like we mentioned earlier. I think we need to do some serious research, work with some people, look at what some of the other states are doing with their property taxes, and try to come up with a system that is fair and equitable and predictable. One of the things I'd like to look at is making property taxes, the value of your home is based on what the true market value of what you paid for it when you purchased it, plus or minus the real rate of inflation. I know there's a lot of issues as far as what that final number will be. I need to do the research, I need to talk to the experts, we need to crunch the numbers and see how it works. But that would allow our people on fixed incomes, our seniors, our people trying to get into their first home, to give them an opportunity to know what they're doing with. Because today I'm paying more for a 1,900 square foot house in the Sealy Swan. I'm paying more per month in property taxes than I pay for my first apartment out of college, and it's a tough situation.
Let me change the subject somewhat because our time is limited, and you spoke of the pension, and I think to anybody who's thoughtful, when you understand that the retirement system for our public employees is 1.3 billion in the hole. Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of the luster off of the $750 million surplus, and we've got about 5 minutes. And so, if you could talk about the reality of the situation, what we need to do, or what you think we need to do to address that, and then probably close in the same answer, Tom, because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
Mark. You know, our public employees have done a yeoman's job for us over the years, and these people deserve. They've been given promises, and they deserve to get what they were promised. And because of some errors in our system, in our investment system for our pension system, we've lost some big dollars. And last legislative session, we did throw some money into it, so I think a little over $100 million. I know that we're going to need to think about doing that continually for the next few legislative sessions.
And
we
you would
need to make
support
sure,
that?
absolutely, we've got to make sure it's solvent. But again, we need to make sure those dollars are being spent smart. We got to know, we just can't throw a bunch of dollars at a problem and hope it's going to fix it. We got to give the money there, but we have to know it's going to be used right, so that we can increase those funds. I mean, think about your own, everybody has their own retirement funds. Quite a few people are very interested in how those dollars are being spent and how they're going to maximize their return. And I think we kind of, from what I understand, we kind of left the door open and didn't pay attention to it, and we ended up getting ourselves in a little bit of trouble.
Well, they've got their job cut out for them because the teacher's retirement system has to earn at least 7.75% on its investments just to stay even. And the public employees retirement system needs to earn at least 8%. So the Board of Investments has their work cut out for them.
And I think the reason why they got in trouble is because those investments were turning well over 10%, and they made some bad decisions, and all of a sudden the investments didn't start making those kind of returns, and then they ended up getting themselves in a ringer. And I just, we got to treat it just like it's our own pension, your own pension system, and you don't want to lose that money. You want to have it there when you need it.
Tom, why you and not your opponent?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. My opponent's an incumbent. I've got a lot of respect for him in so much as that he's a young guy. He's 21. He ran for office and won his election. But you know, when I was 21, I thought I knew a lot about the world. And I'm 39 today, and I'm still learning a lot every day. And the second big reason why I decided to run is I looked at Kevin Fury's voting record. And there's several bills that Kevin Fury voted for and supported that I 100% wholly don't agree with him on. For instance, the parental notification of a minor for an abortion, House Bill 730. If my two little daughters want to get an abortion, you know, which I don't agree with, I would like to know before somebody puts them in an operating room and does something to them as a minor. He voted no against that. He voted no in the second reading against the Montana Firearms Freedom Act. He voted no.
How did he vote ultimately on that issue?
You know, he may have voted for it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just got this from the Montana Shooting Sports Association. They
Okay.
informed me of that. I was endorsed by the NRA, and I'm an A-list candidate for them. He also voted no against House Bill 266, which didn't support the Noxious Weed Trust Fund. House Bill 231 is the Protection of the Unborn Child Act, which is basically if a pregnant woman is attacked by a guy with a baseball bat and the child is killed, that there's no, there's supposed to be some repercussions there. He voted against that bill. And as far as sportsman's issues, he voted against HJ 29, which is basically the bill that deals with Montana's issues with the wolf population, and it was going to allow for Montana to manage our wolf population and would allow for us to deal with it instead of the federal government. And 67 people voted for it. That was 17 Democrats, and he didn't support that. And we have a real problem down there in Gardner with our elk populations and wolf, and we've got to find some solutions to it.
Tom, I'll have you close.
Yeah, I really think that, you know, I'm just like everybody else in the district. We're trying to make a go of it every year, every month, every week. I've been self-employed my whole life, raising a family, and I think that when it comes to experience and understanding what the issues are and actually being active in the issues, I'm the only candidate that you can choose, and I would like to have your vote on November 7th for Tom Opre. Thank you.
Tom, thanks for joining us, and folks, thanks for tuning in to this interview and all the interviews we will have. And most importantly, please vote and exercise your right that is so precious. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.